Hey, so tonight we're going to talk about what happened after the Black Death ended. And trust me, this isn't your typical history lesson. We're talking about one of the most dramatic transformations in human history, when Europe literally had to rebuild itself from the ground up. Oh, and if you're enjoying these stories, I'd really appreciate a like or subscribe. Super curious where you're all listening from, so drop a comment with your location and what time it is there. Always blows my mind how people are falling asleep to this all over the world. All right, find that cozy spot, take a nice slow breath, and just let your body sink into whatever you're lying on. We're heading back to 1453, and trust me, you're going to be real grateful for that mattress by the time we're done. So, congratulations, you just woke up in England, 35 years after the Black Death swept through Europe like nothing anyone had ever seen before. The good news? You survived. The bad news? Well, let's just say the world you knew is gone. You open your eyes, and the first thing that hits you isn't what you see, it's what you don't hear. No morning bustle from the village square, no children playing in the streets, no hammering from the blacksmith's shop, just silence, that heavy, unnatural quiet that settles over places where too many people used to live. Your muscles ache as you stretch, that deep tiredness that comes from working harder than your body wants to. But these days, everyone who's left works harder than they should. There's no choice. You roll over, feeling the rough straw mattress beneath you. At least you have a mattress now. Before the plague, serfs like you slept on bare ground, with maybe some rags for warmth. But now, well, when half the population dies suddenly, there's a lot more stuff to go around. Strange how that works, isn't it? You sit up slowly, letting your eyes adjust to the dim light filtering through the one small window. The house itself is bigger than what you grew up in. Used to belong to the miller and his family. All 6 of them died in the space of a week back in 1348. Their bodies were buried in the churchyard, along with so many others. They had to dig mass graves these days. You try not to think about that too much. The floorboards creak under your feet. Actual wooden floors, not just packed dirt. You inherited more than just a house when the plague finished its work. There's a chest in the corner with clothes that actually fit, a proper cooking pot hanging over the fireplace, even a pewter cup, which used to be something only wealthy merchants could afford. Funny thing about catastrophes, they have a way of redistributing wealth, just not in any way you'd ever want. You pull on your tunic, wool instead of the rough hemp you wore before. It's a good feeling, warm against your skin. But there's always that little voice in the back of your head reminding you that this tunic used to belong to someone who died choking on their own blood. You try not to think about that either. Outside, your breath makes little clouds in the morning air. September in England has always been cold, but somehow it feels colder now. Maybe it's just because there are fewer people to warm the world with their presence. Or maybe when you've seen as much death as everyone has, everything feels a little colder. The village of Little Wickham looks like a mouth with half its teeth knocked out. Houses stand empty, their doors hanging open like slack jaws, gardens grown wild, fences falling down. In the distance, you can see fields that should be golden with grain, but instead they're brown and barren, no one left to harvest them. Before the plague, this village had maybe 200 people, now maybe 60 on a good day. Your stomach growls, sharp and insistent. That's the thing they don't tell you about surviving disasters. You still get hungry. Life goes on, even when it feels like it shouldn't. You walk toward the village center, past the well where people used to gather and gossip. The wooden bucket hangs there, rope frayed and water level low. Maintenance, is it? Well, everything's about maintenance now. There just aren't enough hands to keep things running the way they used to. The baker's shop is still closed, has been for 3 years now. Thomas, the baker, died along with his wife and 2 sons. His apprentice tried to keep things going for a while, but bread making isn't something you just pick up. The few loaves he managed to make were, let's just say they were dense enough to use as building materials. These days, people bake their own bread, or try to. Turns out a lot of knowledge died with the plague. All those little skills that people passed down from parent to child. Gone, just gone. You can smell wood smoke drifting from the direction of the manor house, Lord Edmund's place. He survived, though just barely. Lost his wife, his 3 children, most of his household staff. Now it's just him, his remaining steward, and maybe a dozen servants, where there used to be 50. Poor bastard actually has to do some of his own work now. Can you imagine? But here's where things get interesting, and this is the part that would have been unthinkable before the plague. You're not going to bow and scrape when you see him. You're not going to tug your forelock and mumble, "Yes, my lord," and "No, my lord," like your father did, because Lord Edmund needs you more than you need him. See, when half the population dies suddenly, the people who are left become very, very valuable. Supply and demand, medieval style. Your feet crunch on the frost-covered grass as you make your way toward the manor house. Today's the day you're going to ask for more money. 3 months ago, you'd have been whipped for even thinking such a thing. But 3 months ago, Lord Edmund had other options. He doesn't anymore. The manor house looms ahead. Stone walls that used to seem so imposing. Now they just look like expensive walls around an increasingly empty house. Most of the windows are shuttered. No point heating rooms nobody uses. You rap on the heavy wooden door. 3 sharp knocks that echo in the morning stillness. Footsteps approach, slow and measured. The steward opens the door. Richard, a man who used to have 3 assistants, now he does everything himself. "Morning, Thomas," he says. His voice carries that particular weariness that everyone has now, the exhaustion of people trying to do too much with too little. "Morning, Richard. Need to speak with his lordship." Richard raises an eyebrow. Before the plague, peasants didn't just demand audiences with lords, but these aren't before the plague times. "He's in the solar. I'll let him know you're here." You wait in the great hall, and even here you can see how much has changed. The tapestries are dusty. There's no one left to maintain them properly. The long tables where dozens of people used to eat, most of them pushed against the walls and covered with cloth. Lord Edmund appears at the top of the stairs. He's smaller than you remember, thinner. The plague didn't kill him, but it aged him 20 years in 5 years. His clothes are fine, but they hang loose on his frame. Even the rich don't eat as well as they used to. "Thomas," he says, coming down the stairs with careful dignity, "Richard says you wanted to speak with me." "Aye, my lord, about my wages." The words hang in the air between you. A year ago, hell, 6 months ago, this conversation would have ended with you in the stocks. But the old Lord Edmund had 50 workers to choose from. This Lord Edmund has you and maybe 5 others. He looks out the window at his fields, brown stubble where golden grain should be waving, fields that need to be plowed for winter wheat, work that has to be done and not enough people to do it. 2 shillings and 6 pence, he says, finally, and Sunday afternoons off. You pretend to consider this, though honestly, it's more than you hoped for. But you've learned something important in these past few years. When someone needs you more than you need them, you have power. Done.